Today in our personal finance introductory class, we are going to be talking about checking and savings accounts. Throughout the next 5 lessons, we're going to dive quite a bit deeper than just, personal checking and spending money. But without that foundation of understanding how your basic bank accounts work, I can't really do a lot with teaching you how to start investing and making money in the stock market and interest and credit. It's all based on these introductory concepts. The first thing we're going to talk about is a checking account. That is your basic bank account where you have all your money that you plan to use for everyday things, for bills, buying things, purchases that you make. That comes out of your checking account. They call it a checking account because back in the old days, the only way you could get money out of that bank account is actually physically write a check to somebody. So if you went to the grocery store, you had a checkbook and it had little checks, pieces of paper, and you would write out that check to whoever you were paying. Now, we don't use checks very much, but we still call them checking accounts. That's where your debit card takes money out of. So when you pay for things with a debit card, it's taking money out of your primary checking account. And when you open a checking account, maybe some of you already have one. I don't know. I got my first checking account when I was 15. But I know a lot of people are doing that younger and younger these days. You will get checks with your account. And you might think, why do I need these? I don't write checks. It's 2022. There are some occasions where you might actually need to write a check. So you probably do need to have at least a few checks for your checking account when you first open it. So we're going to go over what the parts of a check are, even though you're probably not going to be writing a lot of checks in your life, but it's important to know what information is on a check because that is how you sign up for direct deposit. If you want to link your checking account to your bills, anything like that, you do need to know what a check looks like and what all information is on it. So here's what a check looks like. This is John Doe's check, obviously. So your first and last name and your street address will appear here. This is the person that you are paying. We call that the payee. So John Doe is paying Portland General Electric. So he's probably paying his electric bill and he is paying $100. So when you write a check, you have to put the 100 there and you have to write it out in words right here. And that is so if somebody else gets a hold of the check, they can't just put more zeros on it and change the amount and make it more. These 3 pieces of information down here are going to be what you'll really need to know for our modern day system of internet banking. So this first number right here is called a routing number. The routing number identifies your bank. So pretty much if you bank with Chase is going to have a routing number. If you bank with Bank of America is going to have a routing number. So that allows all of the computer systems that do our banking to identify which bank has your money. The account number, that is this next thing, that is the account where your money is. So now that all of our transactions are electronic, they use these numbers to find your account in cyberspace and either put money in or take money out. And then this is the check number. This was one of the better pictures I could find online, but the check number here is always going to match the check number here. So this should say 483, or this should say 001. This is probably the very first check in John's checkbook. They're numbered sequentially. A voided check is something, if you write a check wrong, or if you need a check for something else, but you don't want someone to be able to fill it out, you write void on the front of it. Why do I tell you you need this? When you get your first job and you sign up for direct deposit, they might very well ask you for a voided check because they need all of this information right here in order to set up an electronic transfer to your bank account. So most of us in 2022 get paid direct deposit. Not a lot of people are actually going to their job and picking up their paychecks like we used to do. When I was a teenager and I had my first job, we got paid every Sunday. So every Sunday, if I wasn't working, I would have to go up to my job and pick up my paycheck if I didn't want to wait to get it. A bank statement is what you see. It is a list of all of the money you've spent and all of the money that has come into your account. And once again, not a lot of people get these in the mail anymore because at any given time, we can log into our bank accounts and see all of the transactions that have happened. We can see all of our purchases that we made and all of the money that has come into our account from various sources. And it's important to check your banking statement frequently because internet fraud and identity theft is a huge problem in our world right now. You probably know somebody who has been a victim of fraudulent charges or identity theft. And by going in and logging in and checking your bank statement and ensuring that it was you who made all the charges is an important way to keep your money in your account safe. Okay, there are two main types of transactions in a bank account. You have a deposit, that's where money comes in, and a withdrawal, money comes out. Deposits are going to be from your job, maybe from an investment account. Right now, like cash apps and financial apps are really big. So there's Zelle, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. When you take money out of there and put it in your bank account, you are depositing that money in your bank account. It's coming in. This is how you make more money. A withdrawal is anytime you are taking money out. So that could be going to the ATM and getting cash, or going to the corner store and getting a soda or a Gatorade. Or for me, since I'm an adult, I have bills to pay. A lot of my money out goes to bills, particularly my electric company, because I am in Texas and it is 105 degrees here right now. It's hot. So this is a deposit slip. So if you have to go to the bank and actually deposit a check, you're going to fill one of these out. So here are all of the parts of a deposit slip. Honestly, with internet banking, I haven't filled out a deposit slip in probably, I don't know, 8 years. But this used to be how you would put money into your bank. And if somebody physically hands you a check, you might have to do this. Okay, a direct deposit is hopefully something that you will be familiar with soon because that is when money is coming into your account. We love that. Um, Direct deposit has made the world a much easier place. You don't have to wait for your paycheck to come in the mail. You don't have to go pick it up. It goes automatically from your employer's bank account to your bank account. Typically, when you get a job, you will have to fill out a form and give it to your employer. It is important that you fill out this form correctly. That's why I showed you what a check looks like and we identified the account number and the routing number because that is what ensures that your direct deposit, that your money is going to your bank account. You want to make sure that happens and somebody else doesn't get your money. Okay, so once you have money in your checking account, what happens when you run out of money? A few different things can happen. A lot of people think that as long as your debit card still works and it's still letting you buy things, that you still have money. Really doesn't happen that way anymore. So if you have $100 in your bank account and you spend $100, you have zero money in your bank account, but your debit card will probably continue to work, but your bank will charge you every time it covers that purchase. And those fees can add up tremendously. After a couple of those fees, your card is probably going to get declined. Your account may be frozen by your bank. And that means that you're going to lose access to your bank account and to your money if you are not a responsible money spender and debit card user. If you are left, if your account is left without money long enough or below the minimum balance, the bank can close your account. So a lot of banks have minimum amounts of money that you have to keep in your checking account. So it's usually like $50 or $100. And if you dip below that amount for a long enough time, the bank can close your account and just send you a check with the rest of your money on it because it costs banks money to maintain these accounts. So if there's not money in it, the bank is losing money and they don't like that. Banks don't like to lose money. Okay. So NSF charges insufficient funds and overdraft fees. Like I said, the bank will charge you a fee for using their money to cover your purchases. So if you, let's say you spend all your money, you have $0 in your account and you go to the soda machine and buy a Coke for $1.50. You've borrowed and the bank lets you do it. Your debit card works, you get your soda. So you've spent $1.50 of the bank's money and they are going to charge you anywhere between $29 and $35 per purchase for using their money. So that $1.50 soda has now cost you $30. This is why it is super, super important that A, you are aware of how much money you have, and B, you are checking your bank account periodically to make sure someone else is not spending your money. Because if somebody charged my credit card or used my account or took money on my account and I am spending money that I think that I have, that I should have, the bank is still going to charge me these fees. They don't care because they make a tremendous amount of money by doing this. Last year, banks made $11.6 billion from charging these overdraft fees to people who were not keeping a responsible eye on their finances. So you do not want to be one of those people who's buying a $30 soda and letting the bank make $11 billion off of you. You want to use your money wisely and appropriately. You can do a couple of things to get overdraft protection on your account. So as things will happen, sometimes you might have automatic bill pay that you forgot about, or maybe your paycheck didn't get deposited in time and a bill came out, or you just forgot about a purchase you made. It does happen. And so when you sign up for your checking account, you can sign up for something called overdraft protection. And that will either link a savings account or a credit card to your checking account. So that way, if you are making those purchases, they're going on your credit card, or money is automatically being transferred to your checking account from your savings account, so that you don't have to pay all of those crazy fees, because they can really, really add up. Okay, so if you have a negative balance in your account, if you have no money and you have overdraft fees, you might think, well, can I just abandon my account? Can I just say, okay, well, I don't have any money, I'll just open a new bank account with a different bank? Technically, the answer is yes, you can do this, but they will report you to what is called the credit bureau. You may have heard over the course of your lifetime about credit and credit scores. Everybody, pretty much every adult has a credit score. And that is basically a financial or a numerical representation of your level of financial responsibility. So if you are really financially responsible, you will have a very high credit score. If you're not financially responsible, you will have a very low credit score. And if you do this, if you just leave your bank account and say, okay, I'm not paying the bank that money, they will report you to the credit bureau, and that will lower your credit score. That is one of the worst things you can do. They do not like it when you do that. So just remember, for now, this will haunt you for years. If you have a negative flip or point on your credit score, it will stay there for 7 years. So, but on the flip side, if you do have a couple of years of really irresponsible finances, you can recover for it. It just takes a while. Okay. If you are a responsible banker and you have direct deposit, most banks will waive their monthly fees. And waiving means they will excuse that fee. They will say, okay, well, Angela, you're a great, responsible banker. You don't have to pay the $10 a month for your checking account. We'll let you have your checking account here for free. And if you keep, for some accounts, not all checking accounts do this, but if you keep a balance of a certain dollar amount, and that varies from account to account, many banks will pay interest to you on the money you keep in your account. So if you have $1,000 in your bank account and you have a 1% interest rate, the bank is just going to give you $10. Just say, thanks, Matthew, for being such a responsible banker and for letting us keep your money. Here's $10. Banks do this because when you put money in your bank account, if you bank with Chase, Chase is, and this is true of all banks, I'm just using Chase as an example. Chase is using that money. It's making investments, it's putting that money in interests, it's buying things. It's actually, the banks are actually using your money. They're not just storing it away in a little box. They're actively using it at any given time. So the more money they can use, the more money the banks make. So if they can give you an incentive to put more money in, the bank can make more money. So essentially, in this case, everybody wins because you are being paid for not doing anything, just having money. And that's the best way to get paid. You don't have to work. You're just being paid for having money. And we are going to talk in much greater detail about the concept of interest in probably class number 2 or 3, because interest is a really, if you understand how interest works, you can really utilize your money so that it works for you. We like our money to grow itself without us having to work. That's the best way to earn money. So you don't have to do anything. Okay. So there's perks and programs that a lot of banks offer. One of them that I like, especially if you're just starting out in the world of personal finance, if you are sort of a brand new person in the world of money, if you have your first checking account or your first job, a lot of banks have programs called Keep the Change. And a Keep the Change program rounds up all of your transactions and puts the change into a savings account for you automatically. So if I bought French fries for $1.10, the bank would charge me $2, but they would put 90 cents in a savings account for me. And that makes saving really effortless. When you're first starting out in finance, and especially if you don't have a lot of money, being disciplined enough to consistently put money away into savings accounts is difficult, especially if you don't have a lot and you're struggling and you're trying to pay bills and trying to buy the things you want. It's hard to save money, and it's not fun. I'd much rather buy a pair of sneakers than put money in my savings account, because those sneakers I can enjoy it right then and there. But savings are important. So the Keep the Change program is a really good way to dip your toe into the idea of saving money. And it's a way that you don't have to think about, that effortlessly helps you establish a savings account for you. There's also an app that does this now, and it's called Acorns. It automatically, not sure exactly how it works, but you do have to tie it to your bank account, and it will round up for you and put that money in a savings account and an investment. Automatic transfers. Another really good idea if you're just starting out and you're trying to save money is to set up an automatic transfer. So most people get paid, most grown-ups get paid twice a month. For example, I get paid on the 10th and the 25th of every month. So I could set up an automatic transfer on my bank account so that every time my paycheck comes into my checking account, some of that money is automatically transferred to savings account. A lot of banks will offer you opening incentives. So they will basically bribe you to open an account at their bank. Many banks will straight up give you free money. They'll say, Amy, if you come open an account with us, we'll put $100 in your new checking account just as a thank you for banking with us. So if you're shopping for banks and you're opening your very first checking account, look for those opening incentives, because banks are getting there. It's really competitive. There's a ton of banking options. You have many, 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 many different banking choices when you decide to open your checking account. And we live in a world now where a lot of people are not really even using checking accounts much anymore. They're just using these cash apps and mobile phone applications to do most of their payments and their bankings. That's going to make banks try even harder to get your business. So they're going to offer better and better incentives when you're opening those checking accounts. So definitely shop around and see if you can find a bank account that's going to give you free money. Free money is the best kind. Interest is the cost of using someone else's money. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to dive a lot deeper into this concept in the coming lessons. But what I do want you to know that interest will apply to you in two ways. This way is very, very good. We like this way. The bank will pay you for the ability to use their money, to use your money. Most savings accounts have some interest on them. It's not a lot. It's not what you could get in the stock market or a high yield investment, but they do pay you a little bit of money for the ability to access your money. So I told you a couple slides previously, the bank is constantly and consistently using your money for their own benefit. It's not just, like I said, it's not just sitting in a box there. They're using it, they're making investments, they're playing the stock market, and they essentially will reward you for letting them use your money. My bank that I use just automatically deposits that interest in my account every quarter, so every 3 months. So I'll get an email that says you've earned $1 in interest in your savings account and you have a deposit today. So if you want to get rich, that is not the way to do it, but they do give you a little bit of incentive to keep your money there, and a little gift for you letting them use it. The second way that interest applies to you is you're paying the bank for the ability to use their money. So if you think back to the questions that we did at the beginning of this lesson, one of them was about what kind of account are you spending someone else's money? That's what a credit card does. So a debit card is a way that you are accessing your money. A credit card is you borrowing that money from the bank and then promising to pay it back. The bank is not going to give you that money for free. They're going to charge you for it. And they're going to charge you a whole lot more interest than they're going to pay you. So for example, a typical interest rate on a savings account might be 1 or 2%. The typical interest on a credit card is usually at least 10%. So the bank is going to charge you quite a bit of money for borrowing from them. And that's why when we get into using credit cards and talking about credit, it's important to be really, really mindful of those interest charges because they keep adding up if you don't pay it off. So this is the good kind of interest where the bank pays you, and this is the bad kind of interest where you have to pay the bank. We much prefer money coming in than we do money going out, right? Okay, what is a budget and why is it important? So a budget is an idea, is a framework of how much you are spending on everything that you are spending money on. And a budget is a plan of how you're going to spend your money. So I know that I make X amount of dollars every month for my paycheck, and I have a certain amount of bills that I have to pay. So I say, okay, I have to pay my electric bill. I have to buy gas. I have to pay my insurance. I have to pay the trash company. I have to pay, all the stuff that I have to pay every month. That's the first line item in my budget because you got to get your bills paid. And then whatever is left over, you have to decide how you want to put that money away for what you need, because you still have to, even after your bills, there's still things that you have to buy. You have to buy groceries. You have to buy gas. You have to buy certain things. You have to buy clothes. You have to buy dishwashing detergent and, toilet paper and all the things that aren't really fun, the purchases that don't really bring us a lot of joy. We still have to budget for those purchases. So you have to have an idea in mind about how much those things are all going to cost. And then what's left over, you can still put in your plan. How much do you want to spend on entertainment? How much do you want to spend going out to eat? How much do you want to spend on clothes? And you have to make sure that the total amount of your budget is less than the amount of money that you're making. So my next question is, how are budget and savings related to one another? Okay. Budget and savings are pretty key ideas that go together. If you don't have a good budget, you're not going to be able to save a whole lot of money, because you're not going to have a good idea of where your money is going, where it needs to be spent, and how much is left over. Conventional wisdom says that you should budget that you should put savings into your budget. So I was always told that 10% of everything you make should automatically go into savings. So if you get a paycheck and it's $1,000, before you spend any money at all, put $100 into your savings account. And we do this because your budget is a great starting point. Those are things that happen every month, things that you absolutely have to spend money on, things that you want to spend money on, optional things. But unfortunately, in our world, things happen. There are things that you can't really put into your budget. For example, the other day, I had to take my cat to the vet. It cost me $700 to get all his shots and x-rays and everything. And that's not something that I can put in my budget, because he only has to go to the vet once every couple of years. So that doesn't make it into my monthly budget. So when things like that happen, that's when it's important to have those savings that you can reach for, because things absolutely will happen. Medical bills, vet bills, car bills, all that fun stuff that we just have to deal with in life. So Okay, so this is my last slide here. I want to see what your guys's biggest takeaway was from today. What is the most significant thing you think you learned? What did you think was most interesting? And that will help me make the next class even more fun and exciting for you.